It marks today 60 years since Lifeline began. This vital service has saved thousands of people's lives, and because of the generous support of community, some big support from government too, they were able to continue to hope to save many more into the future. Its chair, its boss, its most passionate defender is my friend John Brogden, who joins us now from the other end of the country. Sorry we're not in the man cave, mate, but I'm here in Melbourne on my way to Swan Hill. Happy birthday to Lifeline. Tell me about the very earliest days of this service that is now synonymous with help.
Well, g'day, mate. Great to see you, great to be here. Thanks for the opportunity to come on. So back in 1961, the Reverend Alan Walker, who ran the Central Methodist Mission, which is now the Wesley Mission in Sydney, and there were Wesleys all around the country, he was at home in his house in Sydney on a Sunday night, and he got a phone call from a man who said, "You don't know who I am, but I'm going to kill myself. I'm going to take my own life, and here's the story why." And 2 days later, the police up at King's Cross rang the Reverend Alan Walker and said, "There's a dead body here with a letter on its chest addressed to you." And that pretty extraordinary story is what motivated him to start Lifeline, and he got it together and started on the 16th of March 1963. And Paul, what's most remarkable about that, right, is in 1963, hard to believe today, in 1963 suicide was a crime in most jurisdictions in Australia, in most places in the world. Indeed, it's still a crime in 40 places in the world. And it was a sin in the eyes of most churches and most religions. Yet this reverend, the Reverend Alan Walker, a Methodist minister, decided that it was time to make sure that people who were at the darkest point in their life and for whom the only way out was to take their own life, for those people, they needed a lifeline. And to his eternal credit, 60 years ago at 5 o'clock on the 16th of March, 5:01 should I say, on the 16th of March 1963, we took our first call.
And obviously, as the generations have changed, we've gone from, as you say, it being a crime to let's raise awareness to an absolute understanding now of the pressures that are on people. The word stigma, again, that's a generation ago around these conversations. Yet sadly, Australia's mental health has not really got better in all of that time.
Well,
has it?
Well, the very sad thing is we've got very stubborn suicide rates. I mean, on average today, Paul, 9 Australians will have taken their own life. Half of that die in the road toll, and every life lost is a tragedy. But you're in the news game, Paul. One person gets bitten by a shark, and it's the first story on the news. That's a tragedy. Yeah. But 9 Australians will have taken their life today. And the other part of these stubborn figures, Paul, is 7 of those 9 will be men. So more women attempt to take their own life, more men complete their suicide. So we have a very stubborn set of suicide numbers in Australia. But at the same time, Lifeline's there for people. And let me give you these stats. I know how much you love stats, Paul. So before the floods, the bushfires, COVID, we were doing about 2,400 calls a day on average for Lifeline across Australia. Today, we're doing an average of 3,800 calls a day. Now, there are twin issues here. One is that means people are under enormous pressure and stress, but it also means, Paul, that people are reaching out. So after 60 years of yelling from the rooftops to people to say, come and get help when you need it, there's no shame, there's nothing to be embarrassed about, don't suffer in silence, come out and get some help. We are beginning to shift the dial on that, but we still don't have enough money being spent on mental health in Australia. You and I have known each other for a long time. Paul, back 25 years ago, it was almost nothing. It's better every year, but it's still not enough. And we aren't budging that suicide rate. And that's what really worries me. And imagine what it would be like without Lifeline.
Well, I mean, literally, when you're just talking about even in the past, 2018, 19 to now, the past 5 years, that's an extraordinary number of people. It is a credit to the organisation about what you've been able to build up, and it's a credit to you personally, along with the board, that people now know the number, they know the service, they know it's there, because that number would sadly be higher because of population and a lot of other different factors. So the future for Lifeline, again, if people want to support, you go to the website, lifeline.org.au. But we've seen that, you can call people, you can text them, you can have online chats. The future for the organisation has to keep up with technology, and sadly that's expensive.
Yeah, it is. There's no doubt about that. And the model's changing a bit. In the old days, not so long ago really, you had to leave home and go to one of our centres, one of our 41 centres around the country and do your 4-hour shift. So your 4-hour shift is really a 6-hour shift. And you'll understand with your children, Paul, doing a 4-hour shift with Lifeline is a lot harder than volunteering for an hour on the barbecue for your kid's soccer game, right? We really are asking people to dig deep in terms of their time, but also their emotions to volunteer. And now many of our people can do it from home. All you need is a laptop and a headset and good Wi-Fi and you can do it. So we are adapting with technology. But you're right, technology will keep changing. In 10 years' time, we'll be communicating and counselling people who are suicidal in Australia on technology that probably doesn't even exist today. So we have to keep moving and we have to keep pace with the way people want to communicate. I mean, really, 60 years ago we started this service. We're probably still doing the same core service. What we're doing, though, is doing it in ways in which people wish to communicate. So when we started the tech service a couple of years ago, we did the trial just before it, 42% of people who used text during the trial, Paul, said if not for the text service, they wouldn't bother to call Lifeline. So that's a good thing. We're going out to a new audience all the time.
Bloody oath. 13 11 14 is the number. Website lifeline.org.au. Good on you for all your work, mate. 60 years young and plenty more work to do, but there's lots of love in the country for this organisation and you as well, John.
Thanks,
Talk to you soon, mate.
And I've got a present for you here when you get back.
I've heard. I look forward to it. I don't know if I can share the photos, but I'll certainly call you. All right, let's.
Love you, mate.
See you later, mate.